Well, hello and welcome to a new video. Today we are playing another game like every week of Guess the Eyeshadow Palette. So as always, I used one particular eyeshadow palette today to create this look. What usually happens is that I first show you the shades within that palette that I used on my eyes, and then I show you the rest of the shades that are in that palette and that are not on my look. Today, however, it's going to be a little bit different because I used a palette with only 5 shades and I used all 5 shades on my lids. Another thing that is quite different from usual is that I have no matte eyeshadows on my eyelids. So this is an eyeshadow palette with 5 shades and all 5 shades are metallic, sequin, luminous, call it however you want, but basically there's no matte in this palette nor on my look. So here's first a close-up on my eye look. And here are the 5 shades in the palette and on my eyes today. So I don't know if you can tell, but this one is a brown and it's actually the base is matte and then you have some glitter in here. So that's what you would call a sequin, I guess, shade. And I started with this one to create the structure of my eyes and of my eye look. And so I went outside, I created the shape basically that I wanted my eyeshadow to have. And I simply used different brushes depending on the depth and the intensity that I wanted to give to that shadow. I then used this shade, which is a metallic, but it's a very soft metallic. It's not chunky or anything. So I used this one to kind of blend in that first shade I just showed you and to, blend all together and add as a transition kind of. I then went in with this shade, which I don't think the camera catches it, but it's actually a duochrome. So it goes from golden bronze to red, and I applied it a little bit on the outer corner, but not too much because I didn't want it to be the main focus. What I wanted to be the main focus was these 2 shades here, which are ultra metallic. So I put this one all over my eyelid and then this one on the inner corner, also a little bit underneath the lash line, and I blended the 2 together. Like I said, I usually don't create a whole look with only metallic or shimmery shades. I always have at least a couple of mattes to kind of create the base for the look. It's not impossible, like I just showed you. Obviously, it's not impossible, and depending on your style of makeup and your eye shape and all of that, it's something that you might enjoy. I will say, however, that I did do my eyes first because when you're working these kinds of shades that have fine glitters in them and you work them with a fluffy blending brush, you're gonna have like stuff all over your face. So I did my eyes first and then I did the rest of my makeup. I can't decide if this is an easy or a difficult one. I feel like there's not a ton of 5-pan eyeshadow palettes with only luminous and metallic shades, but I might be wrong, at least not in the ones that I enjoy. So just to help you out a little bit, which palette do you think might have a duochrome and 2 very, very punchy metallic shades? Who could it be? Well, the palette I used on my eyes today is from Pat McGrath, and it's the Eye Ecstasy Sublime Eyeshadow Palette. Here's what it looks like inside. This is, if I'm remembering correctly, around 30 euros, I believe. So it is a nice option if you want to try some of Pat McGrath, but you're not willing to pay more than 50 bucks because her palettes, her larger palettes, are 125 euros. I do have one, I love it, but it is quite expensive. And I know she also has quads, but even the quads are kind of expensive. And quads are not necessarily eyeshadow palettes that I tend to grab. Now, like I said, I do love my big Pat McGrath eyeshadow palette very, very much. There's some shades in there, especially the Blitz Blitz something, you know, Blitz Astral, I don't know. Those very, very special, super shimmery, glittery shades from Pat. I love them. But, I mean, if I'm being honest, there's also a couple of metallics in that palette that are like, yeah, okay, it's a metallic, you know, it's nothing necessarily more special than any other brand. And her matte formula is not bad, but I personally prefer Natasha Denona. So if you're only interested in those super shiny, super out there, punchy, glittery shades, and you don't really want to pay the big palette or even the quad that are very pretty, this, like I said, is a good option. This is definitely not the packaging that we used to from Pat McGrath, and that's also why it's less expensive, because let's face it, when you buy a beautiful palette from hers, you do pay the packaging as well. Now, it is part of the experience of a luxe product, a very luxury makeup item. Of course, it's nice to have a nice packaging that's solid, that is heavy, and that feels luxe. But again, if you cannot care less about the packaging and all you care about is the makeup, then this is a good alternative, because the packaging is in plastic and clearly you only pay for the makeup in this in particular. Now, I can't say it's a palette that I use all that much because it's only metallics in here, and I should probably get out of my comfort zone. That's what I did today. But I tend to grab one palette and that's it. And that palette, I must find everything that I need to create a look. I'm not yet adventurous enough to grab several palettes all at once. But whenever I do grab this, for sure, I go for these two shades, which are the two metallics here, which are insane. I don't know if you can tell, but they are super intense, super metallic, super creamy. I mean, look at this. It's gorgeous. This golden bronze red duochrome is interesting. I mean, it's a duochrome. It's always interesting, but it's not the most beautiful that I've seen. These two shades, however, I don't really like. I'm not a fan of very deep shades with glitters. Like, this is just not the kind of makeup I usually go for, and this is just lackluster. There's just not much going on, honestly. When you swatch it, it's just, it's a flat metallic, you know, it doesn't really have anything special. So if you think you're gonna get 5 amazing Pat McGrath shades for a bargain, think again, because in my opinion, there's only 3 shades in here that are truly worth it and that I enjoy. But then again, it's not expensive, at least not as expensive as it usually is with Pat McGrath. And that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to my channel because it's free, so why wouldn't you? And I will see you guys next time. Bye.